So having a home that needs some work that may take years to complete isn't a benefit for that active duty soldier.
Right.
And so it's important that the buyers are able to go into a home and walk into a home that they don't have to fix and have to deal with technicalities for that long period of time.
Yeah.
This is Spilling the Real Tea, a podcast by Sold in a Snap.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Spilling the Real Tea. I'm your host, Eric Johnson, and today we're super excited to be able to talk about VA home loans and all that goes into that. But before we go into that, I do want to thank our sponsors for today's episode, and that is Sold in a Snap. Sold in a Snap is Central Texas' premier real estate photography and marketing company, helping agents look incredible, stand out from the competition, and grow their business. They provide photos, tours, video, and marketing, everything that you need to market yourself and your listings with ease. Want to save time, wow your clients, and dominate your market? Visit soldinasnap.com and see how Sold in a Snap can elevate your business or your listing today. Today, I'm super excited to welcome our guest from Veterans United Home Loans, Michelle Westbrook. Michelle, welcome to the show, and we're so excited to have you.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to get into the nitty gritty of all veteran home loans and all that stuff. But before we get into all that, I want to know a little bit more about you. Tell me how you kind of got to this place, how you got into real estate, all that, and just give us a little kind of history.
All right, let's spill the tea there then.
Yeah, I love it.
I got into the industry in 2010. I started on the banking side of finance, where I learned a lot about home equity loans and learning the importance of equity, which we'll definitely probably tap into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And then with that being said, I really learned the importance of service. And in this industry, I think that's the biggest thing that people may not touch on as well.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it really allowed me to build strong relationships with others. It really allowed me to kind of allow doors to be opened in other companies. And I got asked to become a loan officer assistant.
Yeah.
And so I interviewed for that, did that for a little while during COVID. And right after the kind of shift in the market where home ownership purchases were kind of dwindling down, someone's like, hey, you should be a loan officer. And I was like, Yeah. And I actually did it.
Yeah. And so what did that look like? Was there extra schooling that you had to go through and just like start to really dive in and specialize in that space?
Yeah, not necessarily. So the first thing that you have to do to become a loan officer assistant is have your license. The hard work of being a lender is you have to do all of those things up front before you can educate clients on things like interest rates, before you can take applications, be trusted with their most personal information. So I got my license in 2019. And then 2022, I was like, hey, full-fledged loan officer.
Yeah.
Let's take the bull by the horns.
Yeah. Well, and you said earlier that really I think what was almost the key to your success was service.
Correct.
And I think I'd like to hear more a little bit about that because, you know, a lot of this industry is like kind of run and gun, you know, like if you're not making money, you know, you're behind the gun. But you focused on like, I want to make sure I'm right for my clients.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit more about kind of that service, how it kind of really probably set the foundation for who you are and how you kind of conducted business.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most important things to me, because people don't buy homes every day, it's important for them to have options and understand what that looks like. So for me, service is important. My family knows if I don't get good service, I will leave. I don't care how your recommendation or what title you have, what position. I'll be in a restaurant. If it ain't good, I'm sorry, we're going to pay and walk out. I just don't like to deal with areas that people don't feel to put the customer first. And so that was one of the things that
I'm going to be a good
committed myself to that.
Representative.
So I definitely made sure that I provided my clients with options of what things look like in the home buying process. So they can really get a good understanding of why am I choosing this loan program? Why did I choose that interest rate? Why did we select this or that? Because they were awarded all of their options and were able to see what fits best for them.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so important. And I like that you kind of talk about in any industry, really kind of making service your number one thing is going to make it fly. And just as much as if you get bad service, you won't come back.
Correct.
If you have good service, you will come back, and you will recommend. And so I think that is such a great key. So, well, let's dive into like VA loans. Tell me, I know that there is kind of a whole myriad of different things that kind of come into this, but how is a VA loan different from your traditional loan? Like just going to a bank and getting a loan. Like maybe walk us through that a bit.
Absolutely. So one of the great things about VA home loans, obviously, piggybacking on the service thing. So men and women who've served in uniform have the benefit of being able to purchase a home loan with 0% down, which is very different than your conventional loan. Truth be told, myth buster, you don't have to have the full 20% to purchase with a conventional loan, but not everybody has that 20% down. So conventionals offer 5% down options, VA completely 0 down.
Yeah, wow.
So that's always a great thing that clients can take advantage of. That also ensures that, sorry, I forgot the question.
I would just say, tell us a little bit more about the VA. Like what is the VA loan versus
the other ones? Yeah. Okay.
I have a question.
Outside of the 0% down, veterans or active duty service members are eligible to have no private mortgage insurance, which is also something that buyers would be subject to if they chose an FHA, USDA, or even a conventional loan. In addition to that, the interest rates are very competitive. Not having a down payment, but you still have closing costs. It just really allows a veteran or active duty service member to get more home.
Yeah. So what makes them eligible for that? Like a day in service? Are you eligible for a VA loan if you've
not day one?
Not day one.
Not
okay.
Day
So
one.
what gives me the opportunity to be able to be eligible to get a VA loan?
Yeah. So 90 days of active duty service.
Okay.
Or typically 2 years of
Guard
post-service.
reserve. Oh, gotcha.
So after you get out, typically your contracts for military are 4 years. There are some soldiers and service members who have been honorably discharged underneath that 4-year contract. So they still could be eligible. It's typically just getting with a local lender, talking, them filling out your certificate of eligibility, verifying what you're eligible for, and going forward from there.
Yeah. Wow. So you get your, you go into the loan space and you decide that, hey, I want to serve a certain population. How did you get into the VA? Like, why did you decide VA loans? Like, where was that conversation in your head? How did that evolve?
Yeah, so living in the Central Texas area, obviously near Fort Hood, we have an enormous VA population, active duty service members. I think Fort Hood is one of the duty stations that almost everybody comes through. But because of the area that we live in, it's just something that you must know.
Yeah.
It's definitely that opportunity that you have to be able to connect with those men and women in uniform and be able to provide them those resources that they may not know about.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So I'm a veteran myself.
Thank you for your service.
Well, I appreciate that. It was one of those things. So so for 20 years, never had purchased a house. And I get to the end of my career and I'm 40 something years old, and it was weird because I didn't know how to buy a house. And I had heard of VA loans and whatnot, but I wasn't sure what all that meant, and I didn't know how to go through the process. And I was just so thankful as I was going through, because I didn't know I needed 20% or whatnot. So do you have people like that where that they've lived their like most of their adult life almost like under the guise of under the parentage of the military, and they don't know almost how to be an adult. I didn't know how to be an adult as a retired army soldier.
It's two different lifestyle though, right?
Yeah.
Being in the military, my bonus daughter is active duty, so she's in the Navy currently, and seeing the way that you're kind of brought up in the ranks of the military is like receiving orders. Yeah. Versus being able to make those decisive decisions and choosing things that you want. I actually talked to a retired soldier a few days ago, and he was sharing with me, like, I've lived on base housing for 15 years of my military career. I never thought about buying a house. And so again, it's just one of those things that, yes, it does take someone extending the olive branch to give you guidance. Yeah. One of the great things about the state of Texas and BAH amounts is you can typically use your BAH to cover, obviously, the mortgage of your home. They're pretty similar, so you're not coming out of pocket your own amount of money or out of your own traditional base pay to be able to purchase a property. But those are conversations.
Yeah. Well, and let's go into that. So, I never even thought about buying a house while I was on active duty, but it could be a really incredible investment opportunity. Absolutely. And I didn't know that you could get a VA home loan while you were in the service, right? It says veterans, so you think after the fact, right? Correct. So tell me about that. Like, do you get a lot of veterans? Do you recommend maybe, look at investing in property, while you're in?
Absolutely. One of the great things about the VA home loan is you don't just have to use it once. Yeah. It's not one of those one and done benefits. It can be used continuously. With the fact that county loan limits here are continue to increase, obviously home prices increase. And so you can use that benefit more than once. Yeah. One of the dispelments I'd like to put out there, because you do have veterans that will be prepared to get out. Their ETS date is coming up and like, okay, now I want to buy a house. Yeah. Well, then you don't make the same income you're making while you're active duty when you get out. So we have to make sure that we're having those really conversations ahead of time to say, what is your plan post-military? Yeah. Because you need to make sure before you get out, you purchase a home. Yeah. Then if you get stationed somewhere else, if you're going to re-enlist, you have the benefit of being able to keep that home, rent it out, and purchase a new home at your future duty station or retire in that property. Yeah. But the one thing that I would make sure that veterans and active duty soldier members know is it's not a one and done benefit.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I didn't even know that right now. Yeah. So I was today years old that knew that. So you're saying I should buy another house,
absolutely.
A rental property?
If you bought one a year ago, it is time to renew and do another one. Rent that one out, receive that rental income from it, build your portfolio, cool. And allow the VA benefit to make you money and build investments.
Well, hopefully I can be connected with some people in the real estate industry. Like, I don't know if I have any connections, but maybe I can find some.
Yeah, you can find something to talk about.
Tell me about you came into this space, like 2020 was like a crazy year for like real estate, like if you bought kind of right around that 2020 mark, you were doing well. And then all of a sudden interest rates spiked real high, right? Is there any difference between your traditional loan, VA loan? What do the interest rates look like there? Is there something that I need to be looking for?
Well, I would say one of the greatest benefits of the VA home loan is it's backed by the government. So Veterans United is not the VA. Okay. They are a lender that assists with VA home lending. And so the positive is government-backed loans are lower than your traditional conventional loan. Okay. Even though buyers are putting 20% down and investing a lot of money into a home, VA has a better interest rate. Yeah. So it's sometimes one of the better options for a buyer to utilize if they have the eligibility. Yeah. In addition to that, you did see buyers who purchased outside of that height of the market of 2019 and 2020, where they may have bought at a higher interest rate just because rates did increase. But now's a great time. We're past a year. It's time for you to be able to refinance, take advantage of those benefits. There's an interest rate reduction refinance for VA home loans that doesn't really cost the buyer anything.
Now, would you, sorry to interrupt you, would you say, like, so I've thought about things like that because, as somebody who has a VA home loan, received this service, like, and again, I feel like a child in, as an adult, as a 50-year-old almost, or maybe 40-year-old. But how does it work, for like, my side, like if I wanted to refinance, like, because I was never really sure how the VA home loan process worked. Like, what does that look like? Could I just do that and then kind of refinance and go another direction, or like, is it just that easy?
It actually is. Okay. It really is connecting with a lender. It is going over your financials, pulling your certificate of eligibility, confirming initially when you first purchase, hey, this is what I'm eligible for. Credit score requirements are very forgiving.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
On VA, extremely forgiving on VA, which is always a positive too, because everyone has life. If you said, hey, I wasn't always a full-fledged adult in the military, you may have had some credit hiccups. You may have had some experiences or
None
things
of us had stuff like that.
that
What
you're not proud
about?
of. And so because of that, it's very forgiving on that aspect. Now with refinancing, you have to live in the home, obviously as your primary residence, because that's the VA benefit. But after 7 months of having closed, making 6 on-time mortgage payments, seeing a cost net benefit of your payment every month, heck yeah, you're eligible to refinance.
Cool. So now Veterans United specializes in this stuff.
Yes.
Like, obviously, you know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
I don't know that.
That's okay.
So what would you say, I'd love to talk about Veterans United a little bit more and you and what you specialize in. When is I want to say, like, who is the right person to come and talk to you guys? But you're like, everybody, every veteran, 90 days, come see me.
See me.
But what would you say, is there special circumstances that you really like feel comfortable with, that you want to encourage people to come see you, talk to you, this particular lender to help them,
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I do believe that someone's expertise, your years of service are great. However, what have you done in those years? If you're all doing active duty clients where you have a basic LES, not really a lot of deviation from the norm, hey, yes, I know how to do VA home loans. But I've had the benefit of, in this area, you have a lot of military that live and they stay. So they're not just active duty anymore. They're retired. They've had life come through. And being able to see what their situation was and where we can get them to is imperative to the growth that I bring to the table. So I think it's important to just know, hey, does your local lender comfortable with VA home loans? 2, if a client has to pull their own certificate of eligibility, I would give you a little tea on this. They're probably not extensive VA home lenders. Because that's something that most local lenders who do VA home loans and can assist with those loan types can get for a buyer very, very easily. And then also just don't be afraid to ask the question. Sometimes buyers understand that, hey, they see a house online, they're like, oh, I want to buy that. And they go to a realtor. Realtors are great, but they're not your first step of the process. You got to have your golden ticket.
Can you actually buy this
house?
Correct.
The realtor can show you the house, but the lender's going to be the one to give you that pre-approval letter to get you into the house. So it's important to talk to a lender first and be very honest. Because we see it all. We see what your life looks like, your income history, your credit history. And it's important to have those honest conversations so we can help you accordingly.
Well, I love that you said that because, I think typically in our brains, like our first thought is, I got to go find a realtor to find me a house so I can do certain things. Is there a situation, can you think of anywhere where, actually, you probably come about this all the time, but do you have a story about somebody who's just like, there's no way that I could afford a house and I just don't think that this is in the cards for me, and maybe they were encouraged to come talk to you, and sure enough they were able to get one. Do you have any of those stories?
I actually do. I can tell you one from today, if you will.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
So I actually had a client who served in our military, retired, 100% disabled, had children while they were active duty and had child support, had some things that they weren't even aware they were dealing with. And we had to go through all of that. Hey, we got to expose the child support piece. We have to talk about what that looks like and getting your payments on time and getting those things corrected. But they were able to buy.
Wow. And what a blessing.
It is.
Were they like, oh my gosh, I did, probably crying in your office, I can't believe I was
talking
able
to me on the phone, I could not believe you did that. I couldn't believe you were able to help me buy a home. And it's those moments that make it so much more enjoyable because when you realize what someone thought was against them actually didn't hurt them, didn't cause them not to be able to receive that benefit, it does mean a lot.
Now you mentioned disability, 100% disability, or any kind of disability. Now, when, let's say, a veteran comes out, and I wasn't sure what type of money would be eligible for, like, would count towards like income for me, what does that disability pay look like? Does that count towards like income for them? Can they be like, oh yeah, this is what I make, and it will count towards
Absolutely.
that? Okay.
We look at a 2-year continuance.
Okay, gotcha.
So if someone is active duty and they know that they're going to get med boarded, or they know that they're going to get 100% disability rating, as long as we can verify what that income is or going to be, we can use it.
Okay, good.
As long as we can verify that it's going to continue for the next 2 or 3 years, we can use it. And why I say 3 is typically you have clients that have child support, they're receiving child support.
Yeah.
That can't be used after a certain age.
Yeah.
Because it won't continue for 3 years.
Gotcha.
But you can use things like your disability, you can use your pay, you can use overtime.
Good.
There's so many opportunities for you to use income. That it's really just, hey, these are all the things I think I can use. Or this is what I have. What can you do with it? And let us handle it.
Okay. So we're going to get a little bit deeper right now because I am from the military. You mentioned BAH and BAS. That's for those that don't know, that's basic allowance for housing and basic allowance for subsistence, which is basically money for food, money for housing.
Correct.
Right? Now, is that stuff eligible? Is that like
that's in the pot?
In the pot.
That's
okay.
in it. That's in there.
Okay.
And the great thing about BH and BS is it's non-taxable. So we can actually add a little extra on it.
Little bonus.
And so what you may think is, oh yeah, right now it's $465. I can add, it'll be about $500 for you for income. Your BH is the same thing. Obviously you get it based on your dependent status.
Sure.
So whatever that is, we can gross that up about 25% as well, since it's non-taxable. So there's always great little things that we can do as lenders to make sure we are putting our very best foot forward for our veteran clients.
All right. I'm going to challenge you here. You ready for this?
Let's go.
Tell me about the most challenging client that you had to get them into a home. Something that you just had to dig, you had to find, but you were eventually able to get them there.
Yeah, so I would say the child support client is probably the most biggest thing. And not that there's not others that have been challenging, but it's just at the top of my mind. And it's so in-depth. So without giving too much details, this particular buyer had an issue with their child support. They had 2 different cases open. One wasn't documented. One was documented on their credit report. And so that's always a thing, because if it's not documented, we have to go back and find all the documents of why is this not being reported. So doing those kind of digging, working with the buyer to find out that information, being on the telephone with them and that department to get some clarity, that was a little bit more in depth. And then being able to talk to an underwriter to explain the buyer situation was something that I went ahead and did. Hey, what can we do in this situation? Because we as the lenders aren't the underwriters.
Right. You're almost like the big advocate. Like,
correct.
Look, the money's here.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to be able to do it. Trust us. You got to trust us.
You got to trust us. And so my job is to advocate for my clients. Give them as much information as an underwriter can, really, that I feel that they need to see and what would benefit the buyer. But then also making sure that the guidelines for VA home loans allow these certain things. So this was, again, people don't realize child support, student loans, those are government debts. So there's not a lot of flexibility when those things are a part of the conversation. However, it is not something that would be, it's off the table.
Right.
It really is.
It's not a deal breaker.
It's not a deal breaker. Let's talk about it. Let's have that intricate conversation. Because in this situation, an email from 3 months ago helped my buyer get into a home.
Oh, wow.
And that's all it was.
That was
the kicker.
Yeah.
That was the kicker.
Got you over the hill.
One email. And so having that documentation really allowed me to advocate for my buyer even more.
Let me talk about the homes themselves, right? So I know that there was some homes that we looked at that the VA was like, I'm not going to really budge on that. We're not going to be able to like
lend on that.
On that, right? What are some of those barriers? Like if there are some soldiers, veterans out there that are looking at homes and about to go look for a VA home loan, like what are some of those deal breakers that are like, look, this is just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I know that you want this home, but there's too much that has to be fixed. Yeah. So what are some of those
just
things?
what you said, those extreme fixer-uppers.
Yeah.
The VA requires a home to be safe, sound, and sanitary.
Yeah.
So safe, meaning the doors are locked, there's no holes in the windows.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in and out freely. That would be a safety issue.
Yeah.
Soundness typically goes to making sure the roof, foundation are intact. We definitely don't want a cockeyed house. Yeah. Being able to be lended on. Your lender doesn't want an unstable house for you to buy, and it won't last the 30 years of the loan.
Yeah.
And then sanitary, meaning it doesn't have any kind of rodent infestation.
Yeah.
Wood destroying insects are a huge thing. So making sure that those requirements are met as well.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, it has to be pristine condition, brand new. There can be some flaws. It just needs to be cosmetic flaws.
Yeah. Yeah. We when we were trying to buy our home, we had an inspector come in, and I remember there was a couple things that was kind of a ding on the house, and one was like the stairs didn't have any rail, it was an open safety issue, which you just mentioned. And the homeowner had to fix that problem. The automatic garage didn't open, and
Safety.
he had to fix that.
Yep.
And there was a couple like wires here and there that were like exposed that they had to fix. But I remember being like really impressed that the VA was like, you're not going to take advantage of this veteran.
Absolutely.
And that they really want to, and maybe they all knew that we were still children coming out of the military. So they wanted to make sure that they overdid their homework to make sure that, we weren't going to be taken advantage of or put in a situation that, we couldn't get out of.
Correct. And you think about it. So being active duty military specifically, you could PCS between 2 to 3 years of a duty station assignment. So
all the time.
So having a home that needs some work that may take years to complete isn't a benefit for that active duty soldier.
Right.
And so it's important that the buyers are able to go into a home and walk into a home that they don't have to fix and have to deal with technicalities for that long period of time.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm sure you have like so many different stories.
Oh,
yeah. So many different stories. So what would you say, like, as we're kind of coming toward the end of the show, I'm just curious, like, what are some of the things that you really want, the listeners to know about either, the process itself, some things to be looking out for, how to kind of go about it, what's some good advice for people out there?
Yeah. So regarding the process is talk to a local lender.
Yeah.
Make sure you have that open conversation, do the application. The benefit that we have is we do a soft credit pull, so it doesn't impact your credit to be able to see what your options are. I think that's very, very important because you're already nervous. I think
we're all nervous when like you hit that, like, let's see what your credit looks like.
Yeah. So
like just peek.
Yes,
don't like open the envelope all the way. Just like peek in there.
Yeah, just go off my word.
Yeah.
So the soft credit pull thing is always a positive. And then when it comes to the benefit itself, I would say use it.
Yeah.
So many times you have service members who have served, they've given up so much, and they're left with maybe just their monthly check. And that's not enough.
Yeah.
It allows you to really leave a legacy. It allows you to build wealth for your family.
Yeah.
Because the VA loan specifically doesn't even have debt to income ratio requirements, you don't know how you can push that envelope without having that conversation with a lender. Yeah. So take advantage of it.
Yeah. So you just mentioned the debt to income ratio. Is it like, could I just like buy a new house every year if I wanted to, like as a eligible veteran?
Yeah.
Like, how's that work?
There are options to do so. So the great
And what's your phone number? I'm just kidding.
So one of the great things about the VA home loan is you have entitlement limits, which is the county loan limit for the state or county that you live in. So in Texas, it's around $865 this year. It increases every year because prices of homes go up.
Of course.
And so because of that, if you bought a home, just say for $300,000, you still have a limit available.
3 more houses.
Correct. Take advantage and buy another one. As long as you live in that home as your primary residence, you are eligible for the VA home loan benefit. Now, on the opposite side, you don't have to sell that previous home either. You could rent that out. As long as you go from that home to the new home, we can actually offset that mortgage by rental income. Yeah. So it really allows a veteran or active duty service member to build their portfolio effectively, accumulate more properties with the VA home loan benefit as long as they're using it for their primary residence.
Wow. Okay. So if I were to buy a new home, let's say right now, I would need to be in there for a year, correct?
Correct.
And then after that part, I could look into buying another home, rent the other two out that I just had, and just build wealth.
Correct. Wow. And the great thing also is VA home loans are good for multi-unit properties. Okay. So you can purchase a 1 to 4 unit dwelling, duplex, quadplex.
Wow.
And live in one unit, rent out the other ones. That's also income. So there's
incredible.
A lot of flexibility and great benefits by allowing a veteran or active duty service member to purchase more home.
Okay. Now, I'm going to selfishly ask this question.
Okay.
Let's just say asking for a friend who may have 5 children of his own.
Got it.
We'll call this guy Eric Johnson.
Okay.
And let's just say he has 2 kids that are independent, live on their own, make their own money. Can I rent to my children and live in the other homes? Is that legal? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, with proof of like payment or whatever?
Yeah, I would probably steer clear of renting to your own family members.
Gotcha.
Especially with the same last name.
Yeah.
But I would.
It's Johnson. There's so many of us.
Yeah, there could be true too. So with that being said, I would probably rent to someone. You have to have a lease confirmation of the lease. But as long as a lender has that documentation, then yes, you could rent it out to someone else.
Oh, that's cool. Anything that we're missing? What am I missing here? This sounds like, I don't want to say too good to be true.
I know, it always does. And the hard part is as a lender, we have to have those hard conversations too of, hey, this is what we can get you approved for. This is what's allowed. Your income, your credit, all of those things are factored in. Yeah. They're not just dismissed. They are factored in. But there is a lot of forgiveness and flexibility with the VA home loan, which is why it's important if you qualify to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Do you love it?
I do. I do.
You seem like you love it. And man, you know so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my job as the professional to research, to have that, that knowledge to be able to pass along to my buyers, because if you bought and you didn't know, then I feel like I, as a lender, did not do their due diligence by you because you didn't know what to expect moving forward. Yeah. And so one of the things I typically do with my clients once we've closed, I'm like, hey, are you interested in buying again? Yeah. Because I want you to know, hey, your time is past. Yeah. You can do something else. We can move along and continue building wealth if you choose to. Yeah. And so again, it's up to you what you can handle, but it's there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, this is really exciting. I'm so glad we got to chat today. And honestly, I've learned so much.
Awesome.
Personally.
Awesome.
Like, I will tell you, I've loved doing, this show, and I've learned so much from so many people, but personally from you, I'm just like, ooh, okay. Like,
I got options.
I'm going to look in the show notes below to get your information so that I can call you and be like, all right, so we were talking about that next property. So
yeah, it's always good to pick my brain.
Good. Well, as we close, is there any last things you want to say to our audience, or anything that you want to, nuggets of knowledge that you want to leave with them?
Thing to leave with you is make sure you don't leave your benefit on the table. Yeah. Take advantage of what you have done. There are so many people in our community that are very grateful for this service that our active duty and retired soldier members have put in, and the sacrifices they gave. Don't leave your opportunity to leave something for your family to someone else, because it's available to you.
Yeah. Well, you guys, this is Michelle Westbrook from Veterans United Home Loans. And I just, again, can't thank you enough. You guys, if you want to connect with Michelle, if you're a veteran out there that, needs a home loan or whatever, please contact her or the group there at Veterans United. We're going to put all your information in the show notes below. So please don't hesitate to chat with her. So anyway, thank you so much again, Michelle, for being on the show. We can't thank you enough for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So that leaves us with today's tip of the week. So for you agents, if you're working with veterans, lead with education. Many don't realize they have zero down buying power. Position yourself as the agent who understands VA loans, and you'll build trust quickly while serving a group that truly deserves strong advocacy. And before we close, we want to once again thank our sponsors for today. And today's episode was sponsored by Sold & Snap, which is Central Texas's premier real estate photography and marketing company, helping agents look incredible, stand out from the competition, and grow their business. They provide photos, tours, video, and marketing, everything you need to market yourself and your listings with ease. Want to save time, wow your clients, and dominate the market? Visit soldandsnap.com and see how they can elevate your business or your listing today. Thank you guys again so much for joining us today on Spilling the Real Tea. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Eric Johnson, and we're excited to chat with you next week on Spilling the Real Tea.
And that's today's pour. Thanks for spilling the real tea with us. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next hot pour of real estate talk. And remember, this is just the tea, not legal, real estate, or financial advice.